So, hey guys, back again. I know I've been away for a while due to work and my birthday, so I really do apologise for that, but the content, my proper content will be coming out soon due to my new PC basically being finished now. So yeah guys, that'll be up soon and I really hope you enjoyed this, but I thought I'd post this video and a few coming in the following days to just put out some content out there. So today's video is about side decking for the future, and side decking really for after the ban list, but also currently as well, especially on DevPro and the dueling network. So as you can see here, these are the decks that I think will be topping, and you'll be seeing a lot of. That is Fire Fists, Prophecy, Fire Kings, Mermails, Wind-Ups, Rabbit, because I still think Rabbit just in general for various decks will still be around even after the ban list. I think it will only be put to 1, and Harpies. Now these decks are really what I think will be topping and doing extremely well, so what to use against them. Now the first card is Thunder King. Thunder King is an amazing card against Prophecy. It wrecks that deck and they can't win with it basically. It also halts Wind-Ups and Fire Fists like 10 key cards and stuff, and it does hurt Harpies as well. But this deck basically harms a lot of decks and is an amazing side deck option. It's basically the dawn of the side deck probably at the moment, and it will I think it will go up in price, especially when Divine Judgment of the Prophecy is released properly, and I really think this card's going to wreck that deck. Next is DD Crow. Now DD Crow wrecks Fire Kings very much because you can banish those key boss monsters and stop them from returning. It also hurts Harpies, Fire Fists, Prophecy, all those other decks as well, because they do rely on some key cards, and if you can banish them before they can be revived, especially with like Hysteric Party and stuff in Harpies, it can be really key. So DD Crow is an amazing, as always, side deck option. Next is Mystical Space Typhoon and Night Beam. Now Mystical Space Typhoon's a great main deck option as always, but if you're not main decking, at least side 2 copies, especially if you're going to come up against maybe some other random decks that rely on heavy back row, but a lot of the decks rely on back row as well, Fire Fists especially guys, so it's amazing. Night Beam as always is good against the Mermails to stop that Abyss Sphere from activating, but again it's also good against Fire Fists because you can stop those traps from even activating, and when they resolve, even when they're sent to the graveyard, their effects carry on, a lot of them, so Night Beam can stop that at all from happening. You can also stop some key spells in the Prophecy as their quick play and stuff, and all these other decks as well. So Night Beam's a great card. The next is Mind Crush. Now Mind Crush is an incredible card because a lot of these cards add from the deck to the hand, especially Fire Fists and Prophecy. Now obviously Mind Crush hits Mermails and Wind-Ups as well because they have the reveal before they do it, but also hurts Prophecy because they have to reveal, and declaring that card, it's great guys, because you know what they've got in their hand a lot of the time with these decks because they have to reveal. So Mind Crush, it can hurt so many decks. Drastic Drop Off again is a great card, but Mind Crush, declaring that name and getting it right, can wreck a lot of these decks at the right time. The next 2 cards are Fiendish Chain and Breakthrough Skill. Now Fiendish Chain's always been a good card because it stops the effects and the attack, and a lot of these decks rely on effects. They're not very a lot of these decks, rely on their effect monsters, so negating those effects are great, and especially with Fire Fist, stopping their attacks from going through is key because they rely so heavily on just attacking and the damage step. Breakthrough Skill's a great ability. Apart from being basically a trap version of Effect Veiler, having its added ability to negate in your turn is great against, which will be coming out, Evil Swarm Ouroboros, and the Mermail card, which I can't remember on the top of my head at the moment, which stop level 5s from being summoned. Now that hurts decks so much, and having the ability to negate that effect for a turn and make your plays is just incredible. So I really think Breakthrough Skill against Evil Swarm decks that probably will be topping when they're fully fledged with this card slightly, maybe I should have put them up there, but also hurts Mermails. So Breakthrough Skill's another great card that could be used over Effect Veiler. Soul Drain as always should be in the side deck here, I've just put it in there. It's going to hurt Fire Kings, it's going to hurt Mermails as always. So Soul Drain just hurts those effects from activating the graveyard, and a few of these decks do rely on the graveyard quite heavily, so just negating them is just a great card, and it won't really hurt your deck if you're playing like Gravekeepers or something. Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos are here just because if you don't rely on the graveyard, they're great options. I think they're going to get hit in the ban list, both these cards, but they won't be banned, I don't think, so you'll still be able to run them. They're great side deck options against all these decks, because none of them like it apart from Rabbit, but Rabbit's really going to be slowed down a lot, so both Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos will wreck these decks, especially Prophecy and Fire Kings. They will just destroy these decks. So getting these plays off is these cards off is great and can really hurt. Next is Debunk. Now Debunk is a great card because a lot of these cards affect activating the hand or the grave, especially in Fire Kings, but also in Prophecy and stuff. Monster effects that activate in the hand, but they also stop the key cards of Gauze, Tragodia, Maxis, stuff like that, and having this ability to have a counter trap with no cost is just incredible. So Debunk is an incredible card, guys, and I really think it should be in your side deck too, because it's just great against so many decks at the moment. I saw Slimex Team Symmetry talk about this card and praise it, and I have to agree that it's just a great side deck card. Probably not a main deck, even though a lot of people do main deck hand traps these days, but think of this card against Agents, it just wrecks Agents so much. So yeah guys, Debunk, great card. Forbidden Lance and Dress are really interesting cards. I saw Team X Siege talk about how you could use Forbidden Dress, I think it was, to stop Fire Kings from destroying themselves, which means that they won't get their effects off, or something like that. So it sounds incredible, but this is also incredible against Fire Fists, because these both can be activated in the damage step and negate many of those spells and traps from even affecting them. So they'll go back to their base attack, which is high but not that high at all, and you can run over them with a lot of cards. So these cards are really good cards against Fire Fists, and I really think you should be side decking 2 of one of them at least. Just because those Fire Fists are going to be seeing a lot more play these days, guys. I think Fire Fists is a deck that is really going to blow up in the TCG. But yeah, great cards, guys. I really recommend them. Next is Dark Bribe, a card that doesn't see as much play anymore, but I really think Dark Bribe is just a little bit of an out against those decks that do rely on the spells and traps, which a lot of these decks do, especially like Fire Fists and stuff, and Prophecy. Not having to pay that half the life points like Solemn Judgment is just great, and I really think it's a good card and could see a lot more play because it harms these decks. It does harm these decks, and that just letting them draw won't hurt you that much, I don't believe. So I think it could see a lot more play. Next is a specific to Prophecy, which is Curse of Darkness. This is a great card that a lot of people are talking about against Prophecy, because you can basically burn your Prophecy player to win, and it does really work. Obviously the issue is I think a lot of Prophecy players will be side decking Spell Destruction, so this card could be a bad side deck choice because they'll be siding against this basically, but I do think it is an interesting side deck option and could work. So it could work, try it guys, basically. Next is Draw and Lockbird. Draw and Lockbird I saw on a comment, and it is an interesting card because it's basically Thunder King but a hand trap, because it stops your opponent from adding after they've added from one card. So against Prophecy it can be amazing because you can chain it to Spellbook of Secrets after they've searched for one, and then they can't add any more. It's an interesting card as it's a hand trap and they won't realise it, but I really think you guys should just try it out because it could work. Next is Morphing Drug and Card Destruction. These are just kind of interesting cards because they could work by just decking your Prophecy player out, because they could be really interesting about basically in that sense. I think you should just truly try these guys out. They're just, if they work in your deck, especially Dark Worlds, you should use them really. So yeah, try these out guys, because I think decking your Prophecy player out is an interesting way of beating Prophecy, and it could work really well. Hand Destruction also works because Hand Destruction is a quick play spell, so you can activate in your opponent's turn even after they've activated, I don't know, one of their spellbooks. You can try and make them choose to either keep it or get rid of another key card in their hand. So I do think that's an also great card, and having the ability to then draw to isn't actually that bad because you're making them try and deck out as well, but you have the ability to draw to as well, even if you have, as you have Descend. If you're a deck that doesn't actually harm itself from sending cards from its hand to the graveyard, this can be really effective. So I'd try out Hand Destruction as well, guys. Next is Karma Cut. Now Karma Cut's incredible against Harpies, but it's also incredible against all these decks because they all use multiple copies with the same name. And let's say they have a Fire King on the field, for instance, you banish it, they have to banish all those Fire Kings with the same name in their grave as well. And that's basically wrecked that deck. It also works with the Priestesses, with the specific Fire Fist cards, which they all run multiples of. In all these decks, wind-ups, they will run multiple copies. It's free of nearly the Rabbit and stuff like that all the time with these cards. So yeah, Karma Cut is going to be a really popular card, I think, that could work against these decks, especially Harpies as well. KOTODAMA is specifically against Harpies as, here as well, because basically if this is on the field, your opponent cannot summon any of their monsters. All Harpies share their name when they're on the field. This makes it impossible to have a name with have two cards with the same name on the field. Again, this is great against Rabbit and stuff like that as well, and it's also good against so many of these decks because they'll summon with the same name. But KOTODAMA against Harpies, it destroys them, guys. So bring out KOTODAMA and you've wrecked a Harpie player's day. Retort here as well, the final card here. Now Retort is just incredible with the mirror match. If you're playing one of these decks, side this card because Retort against a Prophecy mirror match is just insane, because you get to negate your opponent's spell or trap, then you get to add your one in the grave. Now obviously you have to have it in your grave already, but you're probably going to have it, especially for instance if you add a Divine, or you have a Fire Fist specific spell or trap, or any of these cards, guys. I really recommend Retort in your side deck for the mirror match, especially if you're playing a top tier deck, and it's just going to wreck your opponent and end their day. So yeah, guys, that has been my side decking choices for the future and pretty much the current meta as well. Retort, incredible card. I saw ARG talk about it, that's why I'm talking about it now. And it's just an insane card in the mirror matches. Tell me, guys, in the comments below what you think you should be using side deck against future top tier decks and even current top tier decks. What you think about my choices and just any interesting cards that could be put into your side deck to beat decks that are being played at tournaments and Dev Pro and Dueling Network. So as always, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll be posting, my next video will be about my predictions for the ban list, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed that as well. So hope you enjoyed this as always, and see you around, guys. Cheers.